Hello, class. This is Rudy Carrion, a fellow Potential Inc. consultant and also a career and academic counselor at Santiago Canyon College in Orange. Hi, Rudy. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. And thanks for taking your time to help us out with a guest lecture for the online class. Now, Rudy, I know before in the past you were a Boeing recruiter, correct? And you would recruit newly graduated college students to work for Boeing, correct?
Correct.
So from your experience there and your experience now as a counselor, what advice would you give newly graduated students or first-time college students out of college to help find and secure their first job?
Prepare while you're in college early. And by early, I mean as early as your sophomore year in college.
Mm-hmm.
Try to gain employment via volunteering work, part-time jobs, internships, in something related or as close to as what you're studying in school. Most companies will extend full-time jobs to those students that have been working with them while they were in school. That is, if they worked out. Employment outside of college. I know a lot of college students seek employment while they're in school as tutoring, TAs, whatnot, clerical kind of work. And those jobs do pay well.
Okay.
However, those jobs outside of the four-year school or the community college may not pay as well, but employers value those experiences a lot more than a job in college. Example is, don't be afraid in picking up the paper, the LA Times, Orange County Register, your local paper, and just sending your resume out and following up with a phone call or an email to those companies. And then introducing yourselves.
Right.
I'm sure you've heard and your class has heard of the hidden job market.
Yeah.
80% of the jobs advertised, they probably have some people already identified, and they're just putting those ads out there. Or sometimes they'll put them out there because they have not been able to tap into the hidden job market. Networking is another huge strategy. And begin with your professors, with your counselors. When I used to do recruiting, I would go directly to the professors or to the deans and ask, hey, who are your best students? And when I look for best, I did not necessarily just mean grades.
So you really ask the deans and
yes,
the
yes.
Yeah.
They know the students who are their top performers, not just academically, but who are the persevering students, the ones that have repeated a class or two, the ones that are more hands-on, the ones that are more conceptual, theoretical, the ones that have strengths in theory, numbers, versus the ones that are more abstract thinkers. They're the ones that know the students best than a career center.
Right.
So visit your instructors during their office hours. Have them get to know you on a personal level.
They can also write recommendation letters, correct?
You got it.
Yeah.
Don't just go there and get help for a class. Introduce yourself, because tomorrow you may be applying for a scholarship, right? Who's going to write a letter of recommendation? I mean, I'm a counselor just like you are, Will. And how many times do we get to know our students that well in counseling appointments?
That's true. 30, 45 minutes.
30, 45 minutes, and if we build some rapport, they're going to come back to us. But not as much as having an instructor twice a week for an hour and a half.
Right. So as a recruiter, letters of recommendation from professor, that's worth a lot to you, was it?
Yes and no. And I've never read a letter of recommendation that's a negative letter of recommendation.
Of course.
They're all positive.
Yeah.
But what I do look is for projects that you've been working on while you're in school. When I used to sit on interviewing committees, and you've sat in interviewing committees too, I'd look at emails of a counselor that I'm hiring, some communication with their dean, with another counterpart of some issue they're trying to resolve. Because there I'm seeing in the heat of the battle, if you will, how they did.
I see.
Or some kind of project they were doing while they were teaching a class. Bring that as a part of their portfolio. To me, that tells me a lot more than a letter of recommendation.
So keep samples of your work is a good piece of advice.
Keep samples of your work.
And also, when you were interviewing people, you interviewed a lot of people, I'm pretty sure.
I did interviewed, 12 students a day.
Yeah,
30
for
minute
how long?
interviews, 30-minute interviews. I would go to career centers from Stanford University, Cal Poly Pomona, Georgia Tech, MIT, UCLA, USC. We'd interview MBA graduates from Stanford, engineering students, mainly engineering and computer science.
And in your opinion, what were you looking for? What were the traits that stuck out to you that says, hey, this is a keeper, this guy's a keeper? I'm talking personality traits. Are there any personality traits you were looking for during these interviews?
Of course, yeah. Grades tell me one part. An SAT score, a GPA, a GMAT tells you one part. Just like I'll make it the analogy with career assessments, the Myers-Briggs, the strong interest. To me, those career assessments are 1 inch of a mile.
Okay.
So if you run a mile race, those career assessments should tell that student it's 1 inch of the mile.
Correct.
I would look for perseverance. I would look for somebody that's down to earth, will tell it like it is, learn from their mistakes, what they learned. A favorite question of mine was, hindsight is always 20/20. If you were to go back to your freshman year in college with all that you've learned in your last 4, 5, 6 years, however long it would take you to get your bachelor's degree, what would you go back and change and do differently, and why?
It's a key question to remember.
That's something that I would like to ask, because I'm looking at the student, their maturity, their growth development, what they learned with what they know now, of course.
Okay.
You know, hindsight is always 20/20.
Right.
A project that they did. Get involved in projects if you can. I know engineering schools, most engineering schools have a senior project, engineering project. If you're studying business, which is a popular major, there's a capstone business project. Get involved. What was your role in it? What were the problems that you encountered? How did you resolve them?
Great.
A very common question out there, what's your weakness? Name me a weakness. Try to turn it into a positive.
Okay.
And we know that.
Yeah.
We all have weaknesses in areas of development. One of my weaknesses, an example, I'm very detail-oriented, anal.
Right.
Try to turn that into a positive. So weaknesses are positives, and positives can be looked at weaknesses.
Great.
Remember, when you're looking for a job, you're not a business major anymore. You're not an accountant. You're not an engineer. You are now a salesperson, first and foremost.
Selling yourself, correct.
You're selling yourself. You're selling your education. And keep in mind that the more no's you get when looking for your first job with your associate's degree or your bachelor's degree or your master's degree, the more no's you get, the closer to a yes you're getting. So the more rejections that you're getting, the closer to that yes, and the yes I'm referring to as your job offer.
Nice. Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Rudy, for spending time with us.
You're most welcome. Glad I can be of help.
Great.